Uh-oh, don't tell us. You guys, everybody, welcome to the Blockchain and Music, our second event. This is kind of a beginner's guide to Bitcoin and blockchain, sponsored by Vezt, brought to you by Vezt. Thank you all for coming tonight. Hopefully there's some information you can pick up here that is valuable to you. We're going to explain how Bitcoin and blockchain work, how they operate, and then we'll get into use cases, particularly in the music industry, because Vezt is a music-based app that is working with blockchain based on Ethereum, which is another coin. So let me introduce who we have up tonight, and I'll let them actually give some background on themselves. First up, we have Joe Berman. Joe. Hello, welcome. Tell us about Joe Berman, ladies and gentlemen.
I own a boutique music publishing company here in Los Angeles called Media Horse, and we are a rights management company. We specialize in placing music in all forms of media, whether it be film, television, commercials, and any other form of media.
Big placements. Joe's done stuff with Victoria's Secret, Trojan. Who else?
American Express, IKEA, Burger King.
And big artists. He's dealt with the Elvis Presley catalog, T-Rex. Who else, Joe?
The Who, Kiss.
A couple of bands.
A lot of emerging artists as well.
Great. Josh Smith. Tell us
Hey
about
guys, I'm Josh Smith. I'm the CTO of Vezt.
Wow, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Is that all you're going to say? Come on.
Drop my.
Experienced technologist, multiple different industries, and happy to be here tonight to educate on blockchain and Vezt.
All right. Next up, we have Tim Devine, who's a. Say it like that.
Why do you roll your eyes when you say that?
I didn't roll my eyes, I rolled my R's.
Oh,
There are no R's in Devine. But tell us about yourself, Tim.
I'll be back. I am Tim Devine. I didn't get any applause yet.
Let's go with Tim Devine.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Who. Okay, so I am they call me a veteran of the music biz. I guess you get that after 20 or 30 years. I have done mostly talent acquisition, A&R, but I've also been involved in marketing and management and a bunch of different aspects of it. I started as a music journalist when I was about 15. And I've worked at Warner Brothers, Capitol, and Sony, and places like that. And I'm now getting more into the technology space. I started an internet TV network called Webcaster, which had about 200 channels online, and I've worked for a large-scale file sharing company called Nexo, and now I'm working with the best guys. I guess I'm head of A&R at that.
Tim is head of A&R at Vezt, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. So we're out starting to get into the market and make acquisitions on different artists' copyrights and publishing, and trying to grow a business that can monetize music in a whole different way than what's been traditionally done before, which is part of what we're going to get into tonight.
Yes. All right. And on the very end, Justin Wu. Wait. Justin Wu. That's it.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, my name is Justin Wu. I'm a head of growth at CoinCircle, based in Santa Monica. At CoinCircle, we tokenize and essentially create tokens for established companies. So it's typically Series A backed with established founders, real user bases. Our first kind of project was called Unicoin Gold, which is an esports betting token backed by Mark Cuban. I was running all things growth for that campaign, as well as some other future internal products and other tokens. So we did about 33 million on that crowd sale, and working on a lot more too. So my experience though, I literally just got into kind of doing a lot of marketing and growth in the blockchain and crypto space about 3 or 4 months ago. But previous to that, I did a lot of Kickstarter campaigns, founded a lot of different startups. So one of my biggest Kickstarter campaigns, I did 2.5 million in 30 days. So what I learned through that whole process is combining all the marketing channels together in a short, condensed amount of time, from pre-sale, current sale to post-sale for ICOs, which I think maybe we'll highlight a little bit later as well too. So.
It's like what determines initial stock value? Like, you're trying to determine what the underlying valuation is of the company that's issuing it. In the ICO space, it's a little sketchy because some of these companies have no product. Some are based on a white paper, which is the equivalent of a deck. Some are not staffed, they're pre-revenue. So it's very hard to get a real valuation. And I think as Justin was mentioning, some are just made up out of thin air and there's really no product and no intent of ever making a product. So you have to be very careful. I think we should explain the difference between an IPO and an ICO very quickly. IPO is an initial public offering for a stock, the company that's actually going public in the US or another territory that's going to issue stock. It's regulated by the Securities Exchange Commission, the SEC in this country. Very highly regulated, by the way. And you have to jump through a lot of hoops to get to that point. Most companies start out with what's called a seed round of investment, then you go to an A round, B round, C round, D round, E round, sometimes an F round, before they get to the IPO stage. So investors may have money locked up into that company for 8 to 10 years. There's no liquidity because there's no tradable marketplace for that money while it's invested in a non-public company. ICO came about and is called an initial coin offering, and that compresses the IPO schedule from about 8 years to about 8 weeks. So you're taking money much faster. There is no equity involved in an ICO, you're just buying tokens. An IPO, you're getting direct equity in the underlying company. So if I put in $2 million and I get 2% of the company in an IPO, I own 2% of the equity in that company. In an ICO, you're going to get a number of tokens that do not equate to equity in the underlying company. So there is no correlation between the tokens you receive and equity in that company. But liquidity could be much, much faster. If, as Justin was mentioning, it gets listed on an exchange, you could literally buy the token at, say, $1, and you see it traded on the exchange a day later for $3, and you could sell out. Or sometimes we see 20, 50x. And the reason you're seeing a lot of velocity in the ICO market is because investors can get their money in much quicker, see liquidity much quicker, and not have to wait 8 years to get somewhere where there's a risk of the company never going public or never performing. So those are the basic differences between an IPO and ICO. And you're seeing, as Justin mentioned, a lot of ICOs come out, which each one of them issues their own coin. Each one of them has a separate idea, separate product they're building. Some of them may never get to that point. And if you're investing, obviously do your due diligence.
Yeah, I mean, one thought that pops in my head too is, so we're talking about ICOs, which are a relatively recent invention, but even before that, if you dial back about 3 years, there was this coin that came out after Bitcoin that anybody that uses Reddit would probably have seen. It was called the Dogecoin. And so what a guy did was he took a picture of his dog and he put it on a website and he created a coin for his dog. And at first it was just a joke. He made up this idea and he created a bot that would allow people to tip in Dogecoins, right? Well, lo and behold, you fast forward about a year, and Dogecoin suddenly had value. People were paying USD, like hundreds of dollars, to buy Dogecoins because that was actually suddenly trading for something. It was trading for value. There was no business underlying it whatsoever, right? So the value of the coin itself is directly associated with the value that people see in it. Some people really wanted Dogecoin for some reason. I don't know why. I never bought any.
Yeah. So yeah. So I actually I bought a lot of Dogecoins, and I'll tell you. Yeah. I bought it early, and I'll tell you why. Because I played a lot of video games. So I use Steam. If you play video games, there's a platform called Steam, and Steam and Reddit are very similar communities. And so what happened was when Dogecoin came out, you could actually essentially mine or get these coins from using your graphics card. And so when I bought into Dogecoin, the reason why I bought into it is that I knew that if you don't have a bank account, if you're a kid, you have a graphics card, or you have your parents' money to buy a graphics card, you can actually mine these coins. And so then that started creating actual value so that these kids or these gamers now are getting their first taste of cryptocurrency through Dogecoin, not Bitcoin, because they can't buy Bitcoin because they can't open a Coinbase account or an exchange account. So I saw that happening. And let's say you have like a character skin or like a character costume or a character like a gun, a golden gun, and you want to be able to sell that. You don't have a PayPal account, so then you use cryptocurrency to then as a medium of trade and value to give somebody this costume or trade, and then they give you this Dogecoin. So that started giving it more legitimate value, and so that's when you start thinking about potentially all these other coins and why Bitcoin might exist is because of those type of transactions now that are not just there's a lot of factors to it, but that's just like one example why I know a lot of people dismiss Doge. It was a joke, but underlying, if you really look at the big wave, a lot of people are trading it, especially on Steam and Reddit, for digital and virtual assets.
Do you want to at least touch on a subject that a lot of people have questions about in this arena, which is the whole concept of mining?
Yeah, so let's take this question first. Let's jump on something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, I have Bitcoin, I also have Litecoin, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fork and the emergence of Bitcoin Cash. Can you tell me in on that?
That would be for a private consultation. Right?
Yeah, I can fill you in on it. It is a very tumultuous concept, so there are a couple things going on there. So the fork that you're actually talking about only has some amount of relevance to Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash is being pushed by a small amount of very affluential, very well-moneyed individuals who are trying to push their own somewhat faster cryptocurrency. Now they're also using some tricks because this is a technological field, and Bitcoin itself was the first of these that really came out. And so there's ways to, for instance, slow it down by sending in 100,000 transactions. Again, this is a more nuanced conversation than we can really go into on stage. But Bitcoin Cash is just one of several plays like this that will happen across different cryptocurrencies. And the reality is some of the best cryptocurrencies are completely open source. So if I want to fork Ethereum and make a coin called Vertcoin, which is literally what's happened, I can do that, right? If I want to take the Vertcoin code base and fork that and make the Joshcoin code base, I can do that as well. And I can associate some sort of value. I can come up with some system, maybe partner with Reddit and Steam, and boom, suddenly the Joshcoin overtakes the Dogecoin. It's my face everywhere, right? But I'd be happy to talk to you more about that off stage. It's just a more nuanced conversation.
Yeah. And the best, well, actually, because I was trying to wrap all the technical stuff, that really starts getting more technical. I think CNBC actually has a really good visualization of it, CNBC crypto. So they had somebody from CoinDesk explain it. So yeah, I definitely recommend looking into
It's a little
that.
complicated.
Yeah.
And they had it, they were going to do a fork, and they took it away, and it changed the values. People get a little spooked. But there have been forks in the past, and it has survived. And again, each one of them is for a different reason, but that also could lead into the mining conversation, because we've got guys that ask who's behind Bitcoin, how did it come to be, where did it come from, and how did people create it? So you want to get into mining, Justin? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk about mining.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Miner's cap.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know all the mining is just another whole rabbit hole in itself too, because you want to. Yeah, you can explain it.
Essentially, what mining is there's cryptographical problems. So there's two different concepts in cryptocurrencies right now. There's proof of stake and proof of work. Proof of work is what we normally think about whenever it comes to mining, which is your computer solving really difficult math problems, right? And after enough of either your computer or a group of computers solve this one really challenging math problem, boom, a Bitcoin or an Ethereum or something of that nature is generated and rewarded to the miners, because them solving these problems, they also act as part of the consensus network, making sure that whole 51% number is legitimate, and that we know that 10 cent Steve, that transaction, because 51% of the network actually says that 10 cent Steve, that transaction. And if 51% say it, it must be true, right? And so that's the short version of mining. The longer version of mining would be a panel in and of itself and would bore you all to tears.
Well, really what you need to know is Bitcoin can be created by anybody with computing power. It's getting more and more prohibitively expensive, which is the idea behind it. They don't want you to be able to mine it, and it gets cheaper and cheaper. They want you to mine it, and it gets more and more expensive. So the value of the coin is preserved. But there are people and companies and groups of people that are mining Bitcoin by the thousands as much as they can, because obviously the value's gone up. So it is more of an advanced concept. Yes. Litecoin. You want to say Litecoin?
So it's a somewhat faster version of Bitcoin. It's created by a gentleman named Charlie Lee. It's like it's somewhat more efficiently designed. Now, it doesn't have a significant amount of value in the market right now when compared to Bitcoin, which, to be quite honest with you, is one of the reasons why this is all I know about Litecoin, because we've been focused on Vezt and on Bitcoin and on the technology of blockchain as a whole. But in terms of transaction speed, it can actually transact a lot quicker, which means that with Bitcoin, if everybody in this room sent me a Bitcoin right now, it would take between 5 and 20 hours for the ledger, that 51% number, to agree that, hey, Josh got sent all of this money. With Litecoin, it would be like that, right? So it is a lot quicker, but there's not quite as much volume, and there's a lot of other nuances on it. Who knows how well it hands up? Who knows how well it stacks up across all of Bitcoin probably?
Does its value, though, is it, somebody explained it to me once, it's sort of like a fractional interest in the Bitcoin value, like if a $1 bill would be to a $10,000 bill or something like that. Are they tied together at all, or not really?
Not really. They're about as valuable as Dogecoin. Again, it's like what the market actually sees the value being. And I actually read a thread just the other day of some people that are putting like $20,000 to $50,000 into Dogecoin because you can transact it quicker than Bitcoin.
Well, after all this plugging has got tonight, I can totally see that.
Yeah.
So it is the third. It's typically on Coinbase. There's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin.
Yeah, you can track all three.
Good time to invest in them right now is just nobody knows. They go like.
I can't really speculate on that, to be honest.
Nobody knows.
So I already looked at some. However, I have to make such a YouTube video on something called which sort of don't know a whole lot about trading into Bitcoin. Kind of like.
Just get to the question.
Or speak up a little.
Yeah.
We'll repeat the question.
Hold on. So, the question is there any multi-level marketing within that company in terms of related to?
You know about this.
Because there's people trying to.
Yeah, I don't know all the details.
And I don't know whether that's right or wrong.
So, without speaking too deeply, I would not invest in UTI Tech or Bitconnect. If you look at it, so what they do is they take your money and they offer you a multiplicative value on what you put in. But if you look at that sustainably, if everybody in this room put in, and everybody in this room got 10% per day, I mean, you can't just pull value out of thin air. Beyond that, I can't really speak to it, but I would be very cautious about putting significant amounts of money into it. And that's really all I think anybody on the panel should say about those two particular.
Thank you, Dr. Ponzi.
Yeah, they are. They have their own.
There's no legislation preventing it.
Yeah. And what these coins are doing, I mean, I don't know all the details, but if you go to there's USI and there's even one called Bitconnect. Bitconnect literally has a diagram with people in the pyramid, so it's just as there. So the way that I look at it and what they're doing is they created their own token, and so they're holding on a lot of imaginary tokens, as I imagine, and so they can give you these gains. They can give you these percent of whatever imaginary tokens that they got. And then you can go cash out on the backs of somebody else putting in more money. So, it is a pyramid scheme, and I would.
People made millions of dollars off of Bernie Madoff.
I would not, yeah, it's not something that I like to recommend it.
All right, so let's get into a use case for a token, and we can talk about music because we've got two music professionals up here. On how blockchain is valuable in the music space. Right? How does it apply to artists? How can it be useful in the music industry as a whole? And what might be, a future use case of that? So Joe's spoken a lot tonight. I want to get your view on this because he's an expert.
My head is spinning from all this.
It's a lot to chew.
Quiz later.
Getting an understanding. I'm just now getting a better understanding of how Pokemon cards are traded.
Pokecoin.
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 But you've got a
That would be
publishing guy.
huge.
So you understand song rights. How do you think, where do you think that is now, and how do you think?
Well, I think blockchain technology is going to totally disrupt the traditional music business. In the sense, I think it's going to bring control back to the artists. It's going to definitely change the way artists are paid royalties. Performing rights organizations to rights holders. I think it's going to open up a lot of doors to new ways of how artists can see revenue.
Because you'd agree that that system is broken right now, right? I mean, it's not the most efficient system. And if you guys don't understand, I mean, if you have a song that plays in Germany right now, that song earns a little bit of revenue because of that public performance. There's a society in Germany that collects on behalf of the artists. They collect that license, they pay it, if you're based in the US, they pay it to your US PRO, and then you will collect it. But here's the thing, they hold on to that money for 8 to 12 months. You won't see any of that revenue for 8 to 12 months. Then you'll get a royalty statement that looks like it's incomprehensible, really. And there's no way to audit that statement or know if that is exactly the right amount to be paid. If it in fact played the right amount of times in that territory.
Not only out next US, I mean, even if you're a rights holder, a music rights holder in the US, and you are expecting a royalty stream from your US rights organization, there's no way of auditing, you still know nothing on.
It's a black hole.
It basically is. You don't know who's getting paid. There's no traditional fee structure. It's just basically.
And if your song isn't registered properly, or your name isn't spelled properly, you may never see that revenue. So you could spell the name with one letter off, or the song title with a word that's missing, and then it goes nowhere.
Or if your music's used in a production in media, and the production company or the TV network provides a cue sheet, and they misspell your name or your publishing information, you'll never see the money.
Well, and there's more sources to track than ever before. I mean, you got all these streaming services, and you have iTunes, and you have web video. I mean, and imagine those replicated all over the world. You know, Spotify, UK, Europe, Japan, and it's a nightmare of tracking.
Well, the good thing is it's digital now, right? So most plays are streamed. It's either coming through digital radio, it's coming through a Spotify or a Pandora, some service that's got a digital track of what they're playing and when it played, and that's trackable. The problem is those companies don't care. I mean, why would they want to pay you your money on time, right? They can hold your money for a year. They can pay whatever they want to pay and make you think it's okay, because when you have to go pay money for a forensic accountant to audit them, they know you're not going to do that, number one. And maybe you'll find $10 missing, so it's not worth your time.
And that buys them another year.
Well, it buys them, exactly. So we think one of the best use cases for blockchain technology is in getting these rights ownership chains validated, right? Carrying the person that actually wrote the song, or the multiple people that wrote the song, getting their splits correct, getting this done in every territory globally in real time, so when your song is used or performed in territories when you're not there, there's a way to look at that immediately. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to collect this money in real time. We have the technology to do it now. Now, these companies, these PROs have been in place for almost 100 years in the US. It's a very entrenched system. They're generating billions of dollars every year in income. They don't have a reason to make it transparent. They don't have a reason to make it easier for you. They want to make it harder because they can hold your money longer. If you misspell your name, they get to keep your money, right? And who knows where these things go? And as you guys from the music business can attest, artists are stuck on different tiers. So if you're a very popular artist, you get a higher ratio, higher percentage of income for the same play that an artist that isn't as popular gets. I don't know where that comes from, but that's not fair. It's not a level playing field for most artists. So we're trying to do at Vezt is build towards that goal of building an equitable, transparent, real-time payment structure that allows artists to benefit from their work.
Equitable, is that a word?
Equitable?
Equitable.
I call it equitable. Equitable. I'm from California, so.
Well, I was just about to ask if there's a company out there that can address these problems.
We're looking at it.
You want to explain a little how that works?
Yeah, let's talk a little about how this platform works. So we are allowing artists to take slices of their song, not even a catalog or an album or a song, but a piece of a song, and put that up for sale.
Rights holders.
Well, yeah, it could be anybody that owns rights in a piece of music. So you could be a co-writer, you could be a drummer, you could be a producer, you could be a lyricist.
A lot of artists don't own their music.
Yeah, we're finding there's a lot of what we call unsung heroes that participate in creating a piece of music that the public never hears about. Right?
Basically, if you're a royalty participant.
If you're a royalty participant, you can be Tim Devine's sister, and he deems you an heir to his producer points or his A&R points, and you now have rights in that song. But no one has allowed those people to transact or to put a monetized value to those, right? So if you're a co-writer, Joe owns 20% of the song, he really can't go down to the bank or to a publisher or a label and say, hey, I've got 20% of the song, give me an advance, or let me monetize this. He can collect the royalties as they come in, but for him to increase the value, for him to get an advance against that royalty stream, isn't really possible right now. So what Vezt is doing is allowing artists and every rights holder involved in that song creation to take their share of that song and monetize it directly to their fan base or their social media base. So it gives them immediate income. It also allows people that really want to partner with that artist and own a piece of that song a chance to do that. So if there's a song that means something to you emotionally, or you love the song growing up, and you're like, wow, I get a chance to buy a little piece. Yeah, it might be 100th or 1,000th of that song, but every time that song is played somewhere, you earn right alongside the artist, right? So if it's played on the radio in Moscow, you're earning a little tiny piece of income because you share ownership with that artist.
Become a participant in the royalty stream.
You become a participant in the royalty stream, which is a really cool thing to have, and the ability to have ownership in something and share it with anybody that you want and monetize it any way you like, we think is a way to democratize the rights place, right? And we're going to go into books, we're going to go into film, we're going to go into TV, video content, anywhere where there's IP and a royalty stream attached to it, because we think there's money there. We think people that own those rights should be able to benefit from them without having to run through a network or a film studio or a record label. So that's pretty much, in a nutshell, what Vezt is doing. All right, questions. Who's got questions today? Another question.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm just trying to grasp this. Okay, so what if the artist don't want that other people?
If they don't want to sell, they don't have to sell. We're not compelling them to sell anything at all.
Or they can determine how much they want to sell. If you own half a song, if you own half of the Beyonce song, you wouldn't be sitting here today.
She might.
Okay, I'm kidding. You could sell 1% of that, or 5%. I mean, the thing that I've come across, and I think it's very real, is there are a lot of artists and particularly songwriters that maybe need money in a sense. You know, maybe they got a royalty check a year ago and they haven't seen anything since. They can peel off whatever they want, a fraction of it, and sell it to the public, especially sell it to the fans of that song. And the other thing I think is key is that, you know, a lot of these writers, as Steve was mentioning earlier, just kind of, toil on obscurity a lot. I mean, we could go through the top 20 songs on the Billboard chart, and everybody knows the artist, but very few know the other people involved in the track, right? The outside heroes, if you will. And those people don't benefit from so much of what that artist derives as income, whether it's tour money or merchandising money or, because master licensing and all kinds of different things, you know, TV appearances, you name it. And yet they are the ones that often provided the juice to make that song a hit record. And so this is the way they can go out into the market, into an open market. They don't have to sit and just deal with the 3 big publishers. They can go to the whole world and find fans of that music and get them to invest in that music, regardless of whether they even know the identity of that songwriter. I mean, they'll know what, you know, that is about. But in other words, they don't have to seek it out by the songwriter. They can seek it out by the artist or the song itself. And I think there's going to be a lot of situations where a writer will actually derive more value by being on an open exchange than they might by being locked into a, you know, preordained, very tight publishing market, you know, just based on the value of that song.
And then in terms of the artist, anybody anywhere has to
Only rich white guys. Anybody, anywhere. That's the beauty of this thing. So it's about giving the artist control, right? If you only want to sell 1% of one song, you can do that. It's not your whole catalog. A publisher is not going to make a deal for 1% of one song. But you want to sell that, you want to pick the amount you want to raise, $100, $1,000, $10,000, you pick that. You want to pick the reversions when those rights come back to you, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. That's in your control. That 1% or that 10% of your song could fund 20 other recordings, could fund your tour, could fund your video. You can sell the entire song, you can sell a slice of the song. It's up to you. You sell whatever you own. Well, the underlying IP, the actual song rights.
I mean, there's basically, well, there's basically 2 sides to the song. There's an actual sound recording, and there's the actual copyright, the publishing copyright. So, well, there could be people that own sound recording rights that would want to sell.
If you picked up a guitar right now and recorded a song, you would own the master, which is that recording that you made, as well as the underlying copyright. You can sell that entire thing if you want, or you can sell pieces of it. It's up to you. You can. I mean, if we're not considered a marketing platform, but the idea that if you want to publicize the fact that you've got a song that has value.
Not yet a marketing platform.
Yeah, it'll be used that way because it's going to spread that information.
When they hire my company to do their marketing,
yeah, I mean, the idea also is if someone has a vested interest in your song, they're going to spread that, right? If someone asks me what song I want to play, am I going to play the song I own or the song I don't own? I'll tell you right now, I'm going to play the song I own because every play it generates more income. Yes, sir.
When I first got into cryptocurrency, I was told to use Coinbase to download the app and buy what I wanted to do that. But I'm also told that it's not the safest place to park my money. Is that the best place to keep your money?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, so, I mean, the thing with the space as a whole is, as with any new space, like there's going to be a maturation phase where security and the safety of the money all gets worked out. Right now, Coinbase is one of the safer ones. There are still risks with anything that you do. And so, yeah, it's a buyer beware market right now. That's why you see such phenomenal growth. I mean, the reality is, if this was easy, you wouldn't see 3,000x returns, right? You wouldn't see 30x returns because it's easy. You know, yeah, there's a risk-reward profile here. So, yeah, on our end, Ether is, so we're based on an ERC20 token, which is based on Ethereum, which is like one of the more mature coins. And so there's a lot of different things that you can use to maintain your security. My wallet, for instance, is a great place for investors to actually maintain their wallets, maintain their coins, etc. But yeah, it is a buyer beware. There's a whole risk reward.
We can actually talk about some hardware if you'd be ready to. There's a device called the Trezor, T-R-E-Z-O-R. That is a hardware-based passcode generator. I guess I don't know how else to explain it. There's also a ledger. But these are devices you can actually put into your computer that generate a secure code that controls those wallets. So that's considered kind of state-of-the-art security as far as online wallets. A lot of people just write down the passcodes on a piece of paper and stick it in this safe deposit box. You don't want to keep your private keys anywhere that's online, anywhere on a phone. Phones can be hacked very easily. So security is important. Coinbase probably is one of the more secure exchanges. They are FDIC insured on cash deposits, and they do claim they have insurance on their crypto deposits, which I don't know if anybody's tested that yet, but they're US based. They are a legitimate company. They're considered probably the biggest exchange for Bitcoin right now. So again, buyer beware, but do your own due diligence.
So would this be for new artists mostly, or do you see a day where guys, writers who write for like Jay-Z, Kanye, and stuff like that would get involved?
In what? Bitcoin?
No, in that.
Invest. No, it's for all artists. I mean, the thought that if you're an established artist you can't participate doesn't make any sense. And there's a lot of established artists that want to get off their label, right? I mean, the label's taking 15%, 18, or pardon me, they're keeping 15. The artist keeps 15%, the label takes 85%. You can buy all the services that a label provides on the marketplace today. If I want a publicist, I can hire them. If I want a marketing team, I can hire them. If I want a radio guy, you can hire any of those people directly. So putting the funds in the hands of the artist, we think, is the most important thing. Let them decide what they're going to spend on it. Well said. You got a question?
So I recently fell for a scam that I think, so I basically sent my address to this person that offers an amount of money for a certain amount of Bitcoin, and when I sent my address over, a few weeks later, all my money that I invested in Bitcoin was gone, and I'm wondering if, since I use as my password and security now at risk, since
no. I mean, once you send something, as long as that person doesn't have your private key, they can't get back into your account. However, you can't get that back. Once you send it out of your account, it's pretty much gone. And beware, there are thousands, or tens of thousands of people that are scamming and trying to get your wallet. They will send you offers. They will send you fake addresses. They will do whatever it takes to get you to send them one Bitcoin or a half a Bitcoin, 3 Ethereum.
There's no fraud protection provision here. You can't call and get that transaction removed. You can't get your money back. So, yeah, buyer beware. And for any sort of transaction like that, unless you know you can trust it, don't trust it. This is supposed to be a trustless medium, which means you should be able to operate on all of your transactions as if you don't even need to trust this party. But if you give away your private keys, it's like giving away the key to your house.
We're in this space, and I would say every day we have a scam offer that says, if you give us this, we'll give you a publicity. We'll give you an article in Forbes. We'll give you whatever. There's offers that come in every day, and I would say 10% of them are just scams. So you actually have to verify who that person is, call their company, send them an email. I mean, there's a couple of ways to do it, but
my other passwords are okay, I guess.
if you didn't give out your passwords, then they're fine.
Yeah.
Correct. Go ahead, Sir.
So you can create your own wallet, you can make a paper wallet.
Well, if a paper wallet is basically where you take your code and write it on a piece of paper.
I
and keep it
know,
offline.
for Vezt.
Oh, so we're based on an ERC20 token. For security's purpose, I'm not going to be talking about what sort of wallet that we have or how we're securing it, but we've already went through some challenges and successfully prevailed, and so I feel very confident in the security of our wallet.
Anybody else have a question?
Okay, so I have one last question that I was thinking about last night. Because it's not regulated or it's decentralized, is there any way that government can help you with that in terms of, I don't know.
Of course there is.
Okay, so my point,
Is there any way the government can what?
make it go away.
Is there any way government can take away your Bitcoin or your cryptocurrency?
If they disagree with it because there's some statement or people buy drugs or
So if you live in Russia, they can shut it down. They are shutting it down now. If you live in South Korea, if you live in South Korea, you cannot have an ICO or invest in an ICO. If you're in China, well, they're developing something called crypto rubles. And they're trying to replace Bitcoin with a Putin coin because Putin obviously wants to
They can regulate, they
I
can
love my
regulate
own
your
coin.
ability to actually do something, but the technology itself, it's super illegal in China. It doesn't stop anybody because the technology itself works in a decentralized manner. And so, yes, can government step in and say, hey, anybody trading Bitcoin, you're going to jail? Yes, absolutely. Can they prevent the technology from being used? Right now, there's no proof of that.
But there is a lot of talk coming down the line about the SEC and securities rules.
Listen, there will be regulation, right? Anywhere where there's money, anywhere where people are making money and profits like this, there will be regulation. The question is when and what, right? How deeply will it be involved? Will you have to be a broker trader? Do you have to carry an SEC Reg D 506C to issue a coin? I mean, all these things are nuanced, but if they see in a market where there's a lot of money being generated, any government will try to tax it and regulate it. Period.
You made a comment earlier about Venezuela. So let's say hypothetically you're in a country like Zimbabwe or Venezuela where the inflation is so high. So how do you extract your money out just like people that stay there because of the inflation and some days out? If you wanted to take the money out in this particular circle, how do you take it out? Do you have a budget?
So first off, Zimbabwe is a good example. I'm not too familiar with the economic situation in Venezuela. I just heard some points here or there. But if you have a mechanism by which you can use your currency online, and you have an ability to purchase this currency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Vezt, whatever, it can act as a source of truth for your income, your revenue, for the amount of currency that you have. And so Bitcoin, for instance, well, actually, I'll back up. Ethereum, for instance, there's actually sites out there now that are like Airbnb with Ether. So I can go to Australia and I can rent a house using Ethereum. I don't have to give any information. I don't have to give Australian dollars. I don't have to give USD. So if I was in Zimbabwe and this was around at the time and I knew that my currency was about to have a serious devaluation, I could actually put this money into this new source of truth and say, hey, this is going to be my currency of record. And I could say to anybody that hires me, hey, don't pay me in Zimbabwe dollars, pay me in Ether. And you can pay me an equivalent. Maybe I'll even give you a discount for paying me an equivalent because I know there's going to be an inflationary effect on Zimbabwe dollars. So I just don't even want to mess with that. Does that answer your question?
I think I.
Could, but you have to be very careful. So there are, for instance, in-person Bitcoin scams where somebody offers to sell you Bitcoin in person and you give them cash and they're going to give you a Bitcoin address. And like, maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe you don't really have a good way of enforcing that they actually give you what you're supposed to get. So yes.
That's why you're better off with the standardized exchanges.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but basically, like there's other countries have their own equivalent of Coinbase or multiple Coinbases. But if they don't, then the only other way is to go through some other company or individual, which he talked about, that may or may not have trust. If they are trusted, that's with the original question: why are different Bitcoin prices at different levels? Let's say I am in Zimbabwe, just another country. Then what I can do as the person who has Bitcoin is I can mark it up, and that's where the price of Bitcoin in that country is extremely high because the person who's selling it will sell it to you for that local dollar, and then they're going to take that local dollar and then rebuy it somewhere back. They have some other way to buy more Bitcoins, essentially, through that price difference.
So it can't really, I was just trying to see if it would, hypothetically, if it could solve the problem.
I mean, it could potentially move to the source of truth, like the USD is used for oil, for instance. That's totally possible. Is that where we're at right now? Not necessarily. It depends on the adoptions of multiple different people and multiple different cultures.
A lot of it depends on the government control. If they want to have you access to other currencies, you'll have it. If they want to control that, you won't have it. And as you've seen with Zimbabwe and Venezuela, they're in trouble. And the economies are in dire trouble. Can this fix it? If people had access to cryptocurrency because it is global in nature, because it does hold a certain value at this point, I think it is a solution. But it's hard to say exactly how to do that. Anybody else? One more.
Okay, Pete Langers mentioned a family business examples, the CEO of Pandora. And definitely mentioned how Vezt is the best different than Pandora. I almost just placed CEO about a month and a half ago. He typically does, let's take a look at technology change. Last time was Sling, and he did that for just had it. So, how would Vezt benefit, how would Pandora benefit working with Vezt if they could work together?
I mean, my understanding of Pandora, it's a streaming service, happens to have adoption in a lot of cars. It's an ad-based platform. I think the revenue model is based on advertising and on a subscription basis for the premium tier. How can Pandora benefit from Vezt? I mean, we're an IP rights company, so I'm trying to think of a way that they can. Their model isn't to monetize from IP. They're monetizing from eyeballs and people that are actually using the music themselves. Well, we have something we're looking at playlist-wise, and what we would offer to someone like Pandora would be to monetize the playlist. So if they have a particular playlist and they added a Vezt button by each one of those songs that was available on our platform, it allowed their users to go on to either a site or in a car or whatever, click, oh, I love that song, I'd love to buy a share of that, I'm going to click on the Vezt button. That would allow them to come to our site and actually participate in the rights ownership of that track and build a playlist that could, in return, be played back on Pandora. So one way I can think of is it helps Pandora engender the relationship between the artist and the fan directly by monetizing that IP, and it also lets them hold a playlist of that investor that shows Tim
all
bought
my songs. Right.
Tim bought 50 songs on Pandora. Here's his playlist. He owns a percentage of each one of those songs. So that would be revolutionary. We talked about that with Spotify. We're looking at that with YouTube. Because eventually people like to share what they own. People also like to share their favorite songs on playlists. And there is a convergence there somewhere. So at some point, if he's open to having a discussion, we'd love to talk to him. Anybody else? One more over here.
All right, so I understand the business model of Vezt is rights ownership. How are you implementing blockchain into that business model? So if I have 50% of the Beyonce record and I want to sell 5%, kind of a blend, right, between Kickstarter and actual rights ownership. But how do you implement blockchain in that transaction, and then how, without the PRO adopting a blockchain technology or Spotify adopting a blockchain technology, does your implementation of blockchain even matter?
Yeah, very good question. So first off, you own 50% of the launcher song. You're putting 5% off. So you now have 45%. So that's very transparently recorded in the ledger. And let's say everybody in this room buys in on that 5%, an equal share. Maybe an unequal share. She buys, more than some. He buys very little. He's already got his own holdings and his own space, etc. All of that is transparently recorded. And alongside the song itself, we actually store directly in the blockchain what's called a letter of direction, which is the thing that allows us to collect on behalf of the song with the PRO directly to all of the investors. So we not only track everybody that we owe money to for the royalties on the song, we track the letter of direction very transparently. So everybody can say, hey, those Vezt guys didn't really own 5% of the amount. Oh, there it is right there. It says right here. Okay, cool. I'm going to put in $5,000. I'm going to buy ownership of this song. Because now I feel secure that this ledger is out there. I see it. 51% of the people here agree. We have consensus that I own that 1%. And so on my end, I can feel secure. I don't have to go through a $1,200 an hour retainment attorney to obtain these rights. I can do it all within the Vezt platform.
So letter direction is very common practice in the entertainment business. If I were to buy into your song right now without any platform involved, I would pay you the money, and you in return would give me a letter direction, which would send to the publisher or the PRO, and they would be instructed by you to say 5% of this income from these rights are going to go to these guys. So Vezt, in this instance, acts as an admin. So we will admin the thousands or millions of people that own shares, so the PROs aren't getting shot with 10 million letters of direction.
So as of right now, the blockchain is used as a protection for the consumer that wants to buy particular vegetables to buy into the stall, not so much speed delivery of royalties. That's kind of more of a long game.
The speeding of the royalties is something to be done with the PROs because obviously we can't create the money that's coming from them. If they hold it for 8 months, we can't make it come any faster. And we're building toward a point where they're really long PROs.
The blockchain technology comes in to create a transparency within the
Correct.
from the right society.
Well, the transparency is for the person investing the money.
That's correct.
For right now. Yeah. With the end game saying, hey, as an industry, we should adopt this technology because obviously.
Correct.
Now, the other side of that, from an admin perspective, if I gave up that 5%, I would now have 45%. Now, Vezt comes in, and you guys have 5%, maybe divvied out equally amongst everyone in this room. Now, if Sony comes along and wants to use my song, then from a rights grant issue, does Vezt have the ability to?
No, so part of our terms would be that anybody that owns less than 50% has no control as far as licensing or can obstruct anybody that wants the license. So the majority rights holder will always have control of what happens in that song.
And that's only through Vezt, because that's not true in our business.
To our platform, that's how it will be. And that preserves the rights. If someone doesn't want to give up control, they sell 49%. If someone doesn't care, they sell 100%. But that preserves the rights holders' control if they don't want to give up that type of percent.
Yeah, you don't want to have 50 people out there licensing your song.
Anybody else? Did we do all right? Wait, one last one. Sorry, you guys.
Question about as far as capital gains. If you take the money out from Bitcoin, for example, you put it back into your account, is there capital gains on that?
I'm not a tax lawyer.
We can't speak to taxes. All I would say is if you're earning capital income, that's a capital gain, and there's probably a taxing entity that will tax you.
There would probably be.
IRS code 1037529.
All right, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.